Hey, movie chapter here. Today I am going to explain the movie called Bubble Boy. Now, let's start the video. Jimmy Livingston is a boy born with no immunity at all. Even a single germ could kill him, so he's forced to live his entire life inside a bubble-like plastic sphere. Everything he touches must be decontaminated, and his mother, Mrs. Livingston, is extremely overprotective. Until he turned 4, Jimmy wasn't even allowed to come home from the hospital. But eventually, his parents bring him home in his own protective bubble. His room is also designed with a huge bubble system so he can walk around inside it, and protruded plastic arms are installed so his parents can touch him safely. All his toys are sanitized and kept in the bubble, and Mrs. Livingston ensures he never dreams of freedom, ending every bedtime story with the princess dying because she was let free. She limits his exposure to the outside world by allowing only one TV channel and one magazine, claiming they're the only ones ever made. She even uses the protruded arms to hug him and cut his hair. A patriotic extremist, she teaches Jimmy only what she deems fit. And because he knows no better, Jimmy goes along with it. Everyone in town knows about the Bubble Boy, but instead of sympathy, neighborhood kids often mock him by wrapping themselves in plastic outside his window. Mrs. Livingston constantly chases them away. Jimmy eats only homemade food, delivered through a decontamination tube. By the age of 16, Jimmy narrates that he's had a typical childhood. Even though he gets an electric guitar instead of a car, he's happy. Then, one day, while looking out his window, he sees a new girl named Chloe moving into the neighborhood. Jimmy instantly develops feelings for her, though he has no understanding of love or relationships. Mrs. Livingston senses his attraction and frightens him by telling a story about a boy who died after touching the next-door whore. Still, over time, Jimmy watches Chloe from his window, and she notices him too. One morning, Jimmy wakes up with an erection, completely unaware of what it is. Terrified, he hits himself with a bat and cries out for his mother, who comes in and calms him by making him recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Chloe, who hangs out with a popular crowd that mocks Jimmy, seems to sympathize with him. One day, she visits the Livingston house and follows the plastic tubes to Jimmy's room. Jimmy is stunned and nervous. She's the only woman besides his mother that he has ever spoken to. Chloe chats with him, compliments his guitar, and Jimmy awkwardly tries to teach her to play using the plastic arms. In the middle of it, he starts reciting the pledge again. From that day on, the two hang out regularly. Mrs. Livingston is displeased but helpless. A montage shows them spending time together. Chloe gives him a guinea pig inside a ball for his birthday, and even brings kids into his room for Halloween. On her birthday, Chloe, drunk, sneaks into Jimmy's room through the window and nearly enters the bubble, saying she can't stay away from him anymore, but she passes out before making it in. Later, it's Chloe's prom night. Her boyfriend Mark, who's rather sleazy, picks her up while Jimmy watches, heartbroken. Mark mockingly offers Jimmy a cigarette, which he doesn't even recognize. One night, Jimmy sees Chloe and Mark kissing through the window. The next day, Chloe visits Jimmy and shows him an engagement ring. Mark has proposed, and they're getting married at Niagara Falls that weekend. Though disappointed, Jimmy hides his feelings. Chloe gives him a gift, placing it in the decontamination tube, but Jimmy ignores it, returning her guinea pig and asking her to leave. Chloe leaves in tears. Later, Jimmy opens the gift to find a snow globe with "I love you" written inside. Shocked, he screams Chloe's name and decides to stop the wedding. He works hard to build a portable bubble suit and finally sneaks out of the house undetected. Overjoyed to be outside, Jimmy reaches a bus station but realizes he forgot money. As he crosses the street in distress, a bus hits him, but his bubble saves him. The bus passengers offer him a ride but turn out to be members of a strange cult. When Jimmy points out their odd behavior, they throw him off the bus. Later, the cult leader declares that the round man in a globe, Jimmy, is their savior sent by God, and the group sets off to find him again. Meanwhile, Jimmy meets a biker named Slim. After sharing stories of lost love, Jimmy talks about Chloe, and Slim about a woman named Wildfire, Slim offers to take him to Niagara Falls. Back home, Mrs. Livingston discovers Jimmy is missing. She and her husband search for him, since the police won't act until 24 hours have passed. Slim and Jimmy reach Vegas, But since the wedding is in 2 days, Jimmy leaves Slim at a club, steals a scooter, and rushes off. On the road, he encounters his parents trying to stop him. He crashes during the chase but bounces into a moving train. There, he meets sideshow performers being abused by a dwarf named Dr. Freak. Jimmy accidentally knocks Dr. Freak over with his bubble and frees the performers before continuing his journey. He stops at a restaurant to ask for a ride, but ends up scaring off some police officers who think he's contagious. The chaos causes a fire, and a man named Push Pop offers to drive him. On the road, they hit a cow. Push Pop, a devout Hindu, is devastated, but Jimmy offends him by saying his religion is false, something his mother taught him. Hurt, Push Pop leaves Jimmy behind. Jimmy eventually reaches New York and asks for help from an old man named Pippi. He wakes the next morning to find Pippi dead, and the car crashes into a billboard. Jimmy rushes to a store and calls Chloe. Mark answers and cruelly tells him to give up. The wedding is in an hour. Hopeless, Jimmy calls his mother and asks to be picked up. His parents arrive and drive him home. While Mrs. Livingston is in the restroom, Mr. Livingston encourages Jimmy to keep trying and not give up. Inspired, Jimmy escapes and runs to stop the wedding. At the same time, his mother, the cult group Slim and his biker friends, who recognize Mrs. Livingston as Slim's long-lost love, Wildfire, all pursue Jimmy. In a crazy chase, everyone ends up on a runway. Jimmy boards a plane with an old pilot heading for Niagara Falls, but the plane crashes. Luckily, Jimmy's bubble keeps him safe in the waterfall, and he makes his way to the chapel just in time. Chloe and Mark are exchanging vows when Jimmy interrupts and confesses his love. In a dramatic gesture, he rips open his bubble to kiss her, risking his life. He falls unconscious. As Chloe tries to revive him, Mr. and Mrs. Livingston arrive. Mrs. Livingston mourns, but Mr. Livingston urges her to tell the truth. She shamefully admits that Jimmy never had any condition. She made it up to protect him from the world. Jimmy wakes up, shocked but forgiving. He embraces Chloe as everyone cheers. Months later, Jimmy and Chloe get married, surrounded by everyone he met during his journey. In a surprising twist, Mr. Livingston, Mrs. Livingston, and Slim are now a throuple. The movie ends with Jimmy and Chloe driving off for their honeymoon.